Hello, we're Real Conversations. We're going to be talking about a lot of different topics in today's current political climate. And we're going to start with a pretty important one, which is
Communism.
So we hear a lot of far-left people saying instances such as Russia and China aren't real communism, and that places like Venezuela and Cuba aren't real socialism, and instead pointing to Scandinavia, which is something we're going to cover at some point in the near future. So what do you think about that?
Well, they're always pointing to Scandinavia as a socialist success story, even though the Danish Prime Minister, Lars Rasmussen, said they weren't actually socialist.
It's true. So now, originally, you didn't think these far-left parties would be so brazen about their support for past dictators, did you?
No, not
like
really.
Stalin and Mao. So we thought we'd experiment a little bit and contact a communist party in the UK to establish their views, but of course, to keep it entertaining, we needed some sort of cover, and this could come on under only one disguise.
A disguise which many of you are going to find very entertaining, but the real moral of this experiment is the views, or the radical views that
Expressed by
this
him.
man is quite open to express with us. And it really was.
It's probably because we're bought into the ideas that he was putting across. A little bit, wasn't it?
Probably, but I think you'll understand fully once you've actually heard this prank.
Yeah, so just a disclaimer, we did steal this character from Louder with Crow, or rather the character's name, and we'll probably change the name for later videos and have a completely new character and accent. But here is Grant Mayo.
Spelled M-A-O, not M-A-Y-O.
Not mayonnaise. Calling the Communist Party to see exactly what they think.
Is this the Communist Party?
It certainly is, yes.
Oh, thank you. I'm Grant Mayo, by the way. That's M-E-O, not Mayo as in mayonnaise. I was just onto, the party Left Unity.
The party, sorry?
The party called Left Unity.
Yes.
I just give them a call, and they were really, really nasty. I mean, I was just asking a few questions about, because I'm ringing round, because I don't really know who to vote for. So I'm just asking a few of the parties what their values are, and asking a few questions, and he was really rude. But hopefully this gets me more answers, and I'm going to join your party, hopefully.
Hope so, yeah.
So I've just got a few questions. I mean, I think I get most of the value of a communist party. I mean, I know most of the policies.
Yeah.
But it was just a few questions. I mean, I think I'm just going to run through some of my beliefs, and then you just tell me if I should join your party based on my beliefs. Is that okay?
That sounds fun.
That's wonderful. So I think the 1% at the top, they sort of ruin it for people like me. And is that something you share?
Yeah, well, I mean, we actually believe it's the 0.1% that runs things, really.
Oh, that's probably...
There is a 1% who are the super rich, but within that, there's a 0.1% who really decide everything.
Oh, yeah, well, that's true. I agree.
The puppets.
I guess my eyes haven't really been open to the top 0.1% because, you hear this 1% and all the time, and that's the only thing I really hear. So I would like a classless society. Is that something else you would agree with?
Of course, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. You sound great.
Achieve that through communism, but...
And I take it you're for big government.
Yes, no. Yes, initially, because obviously after a revolution, you would look at a dictatorship of the proletariat, i.e. the working class would run everything. But the whole point then is to break down classes so that other classes...
So there will be no more class divisions. So no more class divisions.
That's right. So there were only workers. Therefore, it's no longer a class society as such. Classes disappear.
Okay, so we could actually enjoy ourselves instead of working for the super rich. Yeah, this really sounds great. It's absolutely wonderful. You sound like the ideal party.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Thank you so much. I mean, I always thought, you know Stalin?
Yeah.
I always thought, it's a bit mean just saying so many people died. Well, they probably didn't. Would you agree?
Well, that's fine. I mean, obviously, there are deaths in all societies.
True, absolutely.
And, time
I just think he gets a really bad rep.
going on.
He gets such a bad rep. Mao too, although I agree with him slightly less. I think Stalin just gets such a bad rep. But you know what? This has been a really good phone call for me. I've learned a lot, and I think I'm going to join your party.
That's lovely. But have you been online? So you've got the application form, etc.
I'm going to have a look straight away because it really sounds wonderful. Thank you so much.
Right, well, take care of yourself.
As I like to say,
Me again.
as I like to say, goodbye, comrade.
Goodbye, comrade. Take care.
So it was a very interesting phone call, and it's a shame because these people are really nice people, personally. I mean, that guy's obviously just a nice guy. He's taken the phone call.
However, we must just note for record, Grant will not be joining that party.
No, Grant will definitely not be joining that party. Definitely not. But it is a shame about, these people mean well, but they've obviously not read into it enough. And that sounds weird, them being members of the party not reading well into it, but saying Stalin didn't kill anyone. Well, if I could recommend something to read about Stalin, I'd recommend Solzhenitsyn and the Gulag Archipelago.
Although I think before we discuss the views of this rather outrageous party, we would just like to make reference to that bit about left unity. So they were very rude on the phone to Grant, as we like to call him. So the guy eventually ended up telling us joining of that party because he was unsatisfied with the questions which we were going to ask him.
Yeah, that's true.
So we recommend as well, don't phone that party because you will be treated like a piece of shit.
But we must say, please do look into the manifestos of all these parties on the far left. See what they think. And you can try to pick bones with them yourself. One of the interesting things that I didn't mention before we played you the clip is we did have lists of Nazi policies and ideas from Hitler.
Such as the classless society.
That's one of them.
And the guy
we'll play you his speech in a second, where he says all this. And we went through it, and it was similar to that man's agenda, the Communist Party. So it's interesting seeing, because obviously Nazis were National Socialist Workers' Party. It's interesting seeing, the media and books say, they're just far right. They're far to the right, but they did have their economic and some of Hitler's personal beliefs were socialist as well. So there were a mix of socialism and the far right, I suppose. And it's interesting to look into it because there's not much. There is a big crossover between communism and fascism, and it doesn't get covered enough. I'll just play you the Hitler speech where he talks about classless society and one right and all of it, and then we'll just explain what he said. So he's just said we don't want any more class divisions and you must not let this grow upon you, and he wants one right. And it's quite similar to the communist idea. We don't want any more class divisions and we don't want a top 1%. And in Germany that top 1% was the Jews.
And I think, as you were all aware, that did not end very well for the Jews.
It didn't end very well for the Jews. It ended up with some Nazis going, "Das die Juden!" And that is exactly what happened with the communists as well, because they wanted to get rid of the top 1%, same as the Nazis did.
Although if you speak to that guy, you will find out that Stalin did not kill anyone.
Yeah, we actually went on the phone to another communist party earlier on, and he said neither Stalin and Mao killed anyone. We thought he was a one-off. We did, didn't we? We
As a
thought it
matter
was
of
one-off.
fact, this man referred to the killing statistics as a bit of falsification.
Yeah, falsification. So we didn't think there was going to be another man with the same views as him, but turns out there's another party with the same views. And I can guarantee you, because we looked at their manifesto as well, they're not going to say that in the manifesto because they know deep down that it's incorrect. And it's a real shame because you have these people, they mean well. You know, the ideas of Marx, they don't work, but they look nice. They look nice to people who don't like the current system, want to rebel. And really, the one thing I'd like to end on is that capitalism is the best system in the world. Yes, you have corrupt people. I'm not saying you don't have corrupt people. You have corrupt people at the top and it can tarnish the system, but you have communism that it got so bad in communist Russia that they had to put out posters telling parents not to eat their children because of the food shortages. That is how bad communism can get in terms of the resources for the people. Socialism is similar. They want the gap between the rich and the poor to be narrower, even if it means both are poorer. And it's like a gateway drug to communism.
Yes.
It really is a gateway drug to communism. But I mean, we've also been on the phone to some socialist parties, and we'll put them on later videos.
If you like what you see.
If you like Grant, you want to hear more about him. But that's it, really. We've looked at communism and we've looked at what the communist parties really think, and it is more clear cut than you might imagine. There are more of the people in these communist parties who they would love to see someone like Stalin at the top. I mean, they wouldn't if they lived under him. But that is one of their main aims, to get someone like him at the top. And even if this is just a finishing note, even if you had a really nice guy, because that's what they're saying, if we didn't have Stalin, if we didn't have Mao, if we just had a nice guy at the top, it would work beautifully.
Yes.
But in Russia, they did. And they got their back stabbed because of communism. Because they're desperate for the power, because the power is equal. And that's how you end up getting people like Stalin at the top. It's nice in theory that everyone will be happy, but in reality the top 1% always go back, and it changes, but the rich always end up going back to being rich and the poor always end up going back to be poor, and it's just unfortunate. It's something to do with finance. If you look at poor lottery winners, that's an example. They usually go back to being poor, and it's a shame, but it was good to see what people in the parties actually thought. And it'll not be the last time that Grant Mayo calls a party.
Good old Grant.
Yeah, we'll be looking at the far right as well.
So I think overall from this video, as you've heard from the comrade himself, communism is going to change society in a way that will on paper look good, but the brutal truth is you're probably going to suffer from a loss of money, an unstable economy, and possible fatalities from starvation and rather deluded leaders.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
if you like what you've seen in this video, just subscribe, give it a like, and we'll be happy to post more.